Welcome back to Linux. Today we're going to look at basic shell commands. I sent out a list of 20 commands, which right there, that we'll be using in the CLI, the command line interface, and then one graphical text editor that HCT wants us to include right there. So gedit, which is a great text editor. I use it all the time. Every single day I'd say I'd use gedit. So these are the commands that we'll be looking at today from the command line. Some of these, like ls, cd, mkdir, some of these cp, mv, rm, we'll be using on a regular basis. Others, like locate, maybe find, not so much, less, not so much, and well, possibly touch, reset, and pwd we won't use all the time. Well, let's start with the lab. Look at Unit 2 Lab, Basic Shell Commands. What we're looking at here is they want us to log into our virtual machine. So we'll start our Fedora virtual machine. Now we are using Fedora for this class because it's a requirement due to an outdated list. But if you want to use any version of Linux that you like, you can certainly use any other version. So once that gets up, identify files in your home directory. First of all, it says verify that you're in your home directory. And what command do we use? Okay, well, how would we do that? Once this starts up, it's getting started here. Okay, our machine started up and we can log in as student. So I click student there. My password is password. Soon the desktop will come up, and once we get the desktop, I'm going to start a terminal. Alrighty. Now over in activities, we can type a search here, pull up some other applications there. Since I know what I'm looking for, I'm going to type terminal. Before I finish typing it, you can see that terminal comes up. I'll click that right there. Okay, so welcome to your Linux terminal. This right here is where we'll be inputting our command line interface commands. And we can go through the list here of verify that you're in your home directory. Well, ways we can do that is, we see that tilde right there, that means we're in our home directory. But we can type pwd, and it will tell us that we're in our home directory. So pwd told us what directory we're in. Next, moving down, check to see if you have any files in your home directory that start with a dot. What command did you use? How many files start with a dot? What are the names of the first four? Well, let's look for files that start with a dot. ls will show us the regular files and folders. If we want to find hidden files, we can do an ls-a, and that stands for all. So now we can see the hidden folders and files. In this case, you can see the colors represent the folders and the files. The directories are blue and the files are green. If I wanted more information, I could type ls-la, and then you can see the directories are connotated by a D and the files a dash. So let's see how many dot files we have. You can count off those files. We have a directory, another file, and just go ahead and count those. Now we're going to create files and directories. So we're going to make a directory file lab, that right there, and then change directory to file lab. The way we do that is I'm going to clear the screen first, C-L-E-A-R, clear, and I'm going to make directory file lab, and then I'll cd over to file lab. Now we're going to use the touch command to create some files. Now we're going to be using brace expansion here. So with the, they say curly brackets, they're actually called braces. And these braces right there are different than brackets. So if you press Shift and you press the bracket, then you'll get the braces. Now those braces will allow us to put some expansion in between there. So those commas say report and memo and graph, and then September, October, and November, and December. And then A, B, and C, and then 1, 2, and 3. We're going to see how this expands out. It's going to be a lot like using a regular expression. I'm going to copy this straight off the PDF because that would just be a pain to type. Oh, it doesn't look like I have bidirectional capability in this system. Okay, we're going to try this copy again with another terminal window. And I'll pop in right here. I want to be careful to be in the right directory. So if we look at the directory here, we have file lab. That's where we want to be. So now I'm going to touch this, and you'll see what braces expansion does for our little command. Now that I've pressed that, in Unix and Linux, it's just going to drop down one line if the command worked. If the command failed, it would give us output. This command worked. Let's see what we just did. So now make sure you've created 108 new empty files. We'll use the ls command, and then we're going to create some directories. ls, and sure enough, look at all the files we created. Back over to the lab, it wants us to create some directories. So it says make a directory A reports, B reports, C reports. We could use the same expansion for our braces that right here that we used earlier. I'll go ahead and copy this and paste it in. Then we're going to make a couple of directories right here. Now we're going to change into the A reports directory, so we're going to go to that directory, and that's it. And then it wants us to make directories 1, 2, and 3. Now if I type ls, you'll see that I have directories 1, 2, and 3, or ls-lh. We can see that. Now one of the commands that we're not supposed to learn is alias. But I'm going to need this alias because I want to type ll instead of ls-lh. So in order to do that, I'm going to type alias ll equals ls-lh. And that's a single quote there. Now when I type ll, it'll give me the same output as ls-lh. Now I want this to stay permanent in my system. And the way I do that is I will type echo this command double pipe, or I'm sorry, double greater than, to a home directory dot profile if it exists, if not dot bash rc. Now I'm going to look at that file using cat and verify, or I can use tail and verify what's in that file. And there's my alias command. Now going back over to the lab, let's see what it wants us to do. It says verify that we have the directories. We have. Now move back up to the file lab directory and create 3 directories there with 3 subdirectories. So you can see we're creating B and C reports, so it's 2 directories, and they'll have 3 subdirectories. So pwd lets us know how far in we are. And then cd ... we're now in file lab. And then if we do the make directory bc reports 1, 2, and 3, it will create the reports directory for us. Right here, ABC reports. Now a nice command is tree. So if we type tree, it will give us all of our directories and our files in a nice tree format. That way you can see what it looks like graphically inside the GUI, inside the CLI. Now, we want to change to our home directory. We can just type cd to do that. And we would change to the file lab directory, cd file lab to do that. Next, we'll organize all the B reports by month using wildcards. And first, it wants us to look at them before we move them. So cd, we're home. Cd file lab, we're back in file lab. Now, if we do the ls-l, which we can now do ll star dec underscore b question mark. Well, if we look up through here, we see DEC there, and we see some B's, B1, 2, 3, and we see right here December B1, 2, 3 for memos, and we see the same for reports. So if we press this, it's going to show us these files. Now if we want to move, we're going to move one of the files, the graph deck B1, into the December subfolder. So if we do that, then I'm going to go back and I'll list the files again. We should notice that graph December B1 is missing because I've now moved it into the December folder. If I do LL into December folder, we can see that that one file is now there. Now if I want to move all the files, I can use that command. Similar to my LL command, I'll be using that mv command. Now the mv move will require us to have a source and destination. In this case, our source is going to be everything before December underscore B with one character after it. The asterisk means count all the characters, and the question mark means count only one character as a wildcard. So we're going to move that over to December. Now let's look in the December folder again, and we can see that our December files are now there. They want us to do the same thing with all the November B files to the November directory. So we'll try that. Okay, I now looked at November. You can see the files there. If I type tree, then we can look down and see that inside those directories, December, November, our files are now there. Now it says to move all the B files into their proper subdirectories. Let's see what we have. We have October and September. Do we create those folders? We have December, October, and September. Good. We can move those now. So October over to October. And we'll move star September to the September folder. Now this is case sensitive, so be careful about your case. If you type uppercase, then you better be referencing an uppercase file. Otherwise, it'll give you an error or create a problem for you. I'll look at the files in my directory again. See, I now have fewer files in my directory, and all the B files are gone. If I type tree, you'll see that in September, in October, November, and December, all my files have been moved. Okay. It wants us to go into the A reports directory, and it wants us to use tab completion, cd a_r. So I'll clear the screen, I'll type cd a_r, and then I'm going to press tab and press enter. Now I'm in the A reports directory. I have 3 directories in there. Now we're going to move the A1 files to the 1 subdirectory. The way we're going to do that is, in this case, we're using the tilde convention, which the tilde is our home directory, and then file lab, and then *_A1 to our 1 directory. Now, the reason we can do that is because file lab right there is directly inside of tilde, which is home student. Whenever you see the /, it means your home directory, so home student. Now we're going to move the A2 and A3 reports to their proper directories. In this case, I'll use // means go up 1 directory, and we're going to move the A2 and A3 to the 2 directory, and the 3 to the 3 directory. I'll type tree, and we'll see what we have. Now, suppose you decide that you no longer need the September_A1 files, and you want to delete them. The fastest way is to use wildcard expression, but you always need to check a wildcard expression before using it to delete files. So we're going to go into the CD1. If we do a pwd, you'll see that we're now in home student file lab A_reports 1. In this case, it wants us to do echo *September*. So we can do that, or we type ll *sep*, or ls, or ls-1. If you remember, we changed ll to represent ls-lh. Now we're going to remove everything that's September. If we look again, now everything before and after the 3 letters SCP are gone. Everything is gone. Now we're going to go back to the file lab directory and verify that we only have C files remaining in the directory. So 2 ways to do that. 1, we know that we're in the 1 and we have reports. So we do cd .. And now we're in the file lab directory. Each .. is go up 1 directory. I can type cd-, and it takes me back where I was. I can also type cd tilde/ file lab, and now I'm once again in the file lab directory. We want to verify that we only have C files left in the directory. If we look, sure enough, we only have C files left in the directory. Now we need to back up several important files. First, the C1 and C2 reports in each month. Before making any backups, you must create a directory to hold the backups. So we'll go through and create a directory there. Now this make directory -p, let me fix the hyphen there, -p, home $user temp archive. Now when doing that, let me go ahead and type echo $user, and that shows who I am. And then this -p means create any parent directories if they do not exist when you're creating the child directories. In this case, there was not a tmp directory in my home directory, so I could not have created the other directory. I'll try this again. I'll take off the -p, and I'll say temp1 and archive1. Slight difference. And now it says, I can't do it because I took out the -p. You cannot create a child directory inside of a parent directory if the parent directory does not exist. They want us to try going to cd home user. And they want us to copy all the C1 and C2 reports to the directory we just created. Once we're back in the file lab directory. So in this case, we are going to cp report whatever ends after report, and then bracket 1, 2 will be only report with 1 through the number 2 to home user temp archive. I'll type tree temp. And we can see when I do a tree /temp, it shows us one directory above me, what we have inside of archive. Next, it wants us to copy the reports for December. We'll go back over and we'll try that. In this case, it's telling me, well, we already have something there. When you're asked to overwrite existing files, enter in how many times we were asked about overwriting files. So we were told 2 times about overwriting the files. Now the -i option forces us to verify each file that we're copying if it's going to overwrite anything. So the -i is, I believe, interactive. Now let's go in and delete some files. So let's look in this directory. We did lsc *c*, type ll *c*. I can see what's in my directory there. Here we have ls *c 1 through 3. Let's look at that. So you can see whatever comes before a C and 1, 2, 3 will be captured by the star, the asterisk, and then the 1-3 is 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to remove that. And we just wipe those out. Now here it wants us to display the standard help for ls. So I'll type ls-help. This gives us the standard help for ls. You can see the options. We can also type man-ls, which is a manual page. And then it brings up the manual page. To get out of this, just as it says at the bottom, type Q to exit. Now it wants us to display the last 10 commands from the shell session. So let's type history. You can see history gives us far more than the last 10. So the way we do this is simply type history 10. And that gives us the last 10 commands. Finding and displaying files. We're going to switch to the root account by doing an su-. Let's switch user dash to inherit the profile. We did not specify a user account, so user account 0 or root will be the default. And we'll enter the password for the root account. The password should be password. Now we're going to update the system database. Let's update DB. We'll see if that still works in this version of Fedora. Then we'll search our system for all Readme files. In this case, they want us to use locate. So I'll type locate Readme. And it'll show me all the Readme files. Now we're going to look in uppercase. And these are the uppercase Readme files. Now they want us to read one of the files. And we can do that using cat. Except that one doesn't exist. We'll grab another file. You can pretty much pick any file you want as long as it's long. And I would say probably the legal file is pretty long. Okay, that's long enough. It scrolls off our screen one time. We want to read this file one screen at a time. The way we do that is we type less. Now with less, we can scroll up and scroll down and also perform searches, like look for the word obtain or the. To get out of less, you type Q. Now it wants us to display the first 10 lines of the file. The way we do that is we type head. Head will show us the first 10 lines. The last 10 lines of the file can be seen by typing tail. Tail gives us the last 10 lines of the file. Finally, it wants us to find all the lines in a file that contain HTTP. Well, this file is probably not going to contain too much of that, but we'll look. We'll type grep, then HTTP, and then the file path. And there you go. We have 2 lines that contain HTTP. One line is pure HTTP, and the other is HTTPS. Now we need to exit our SU session using the exit command, exit our terminal, and shut down our PC. That's it for the lab. So as soon as we type exit, We're back over and we're a user, so we type who am I to see who we are. If we do the su dash, enter our password, type who am I, see we're root. We'll look at those commands a little bit in the future. I hope this was helpful, and I apologize that I'm losing my voice.